The Galactic Empire had grown vast and powerful, stretching its influence across thousands of star systems. It was a force unmatched in the known universe, driven by ambition and an endless thirst for resources. Commander Alex Carter stood on the bridge of the flagship Elysium, gazing out at the swirling colors of a distant nebula. The ship hummed with energy as officers moved about their tasks, preparing for the next phase of the Empire's expansion. Earth, a small blue planet, in a remote corner of the galaxy, was their target. Its resources were abundant, and its people were primitive, making it an easy prize. Alex turned to Lieutenant Laura Bennett, his second-in-command, who stood nearby reviewing data on a tablet. "What do you think, Lieutenant? Another week and we'll be ready to move on Earth," he said, his tone confident. Laura glanced up from her work, her expression thoughtful but cautious. "It seems straightforward enough, sir. Their technology is outdated and they don't appear to have any form of organized defense. Still, something feels off." Alex chuckled softly, brushing aside her concern. "Off? Don't let the unknown intimidate you, Lieutenant. We've faced countless worlds and none have posed a challenge. This one won't be any different." He gestured toward the view screen, which displayed images of Earth captured by reconnaissance drones. Rolling oceans, sprawling forests, and towering mountains painted a picture of beauty and opportunity. Beneath its surface lay minerals, water, and fertile land, resources the Empire desperately needed to sustain its growth. As the days passed, the fleet approached Earth's orbit. Everything seemed normal until an unexpected event disrupted their plans. A strange vessel appeared near the edge of their formation, shimmering faintly as if cloaked in light. Its design was unlike anything the Empire had encountered before: smooth curves, no visible weapons, and surfaces that reflected the surrounding stars. The crew watched in silence as the ship hovered silently, its presence both mesmerizing and unsettling. A transmission crackled through the communication system, breaking the tension. "Turn back," came a voice. Neither male nor female, but layered, with harmonies that resonated deeply. "Earth is not what it seems. You are walking into a trap." The words hung in the air, sending ripples of unease through the bridge. Officers exchanged nervous glances, unsure how to respond. Alex straightened, his jaw tightening. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice firm despite the uncertainty creeping into his mind. The alien voice replied calmly, "We are Watchers, guardians of knowledge. Your kind has much to learn, yet you rush blindly into danger. Leave now or face consequences beyond your understanding." Before anyone could react, the mysterious ship vanished, leaving behind only silence and unanswered questions. "Lieutenant?" Bennett stepped forward, her brow furrowed. "Sir, should we take this warning seriously? They didn't attack, they just warned us. That suggests they're trying to help, not harm." Alex frowned, considering her words. Part of him wanted to believe the aliens were bluffing, attempting to scare them away from a valuable resource. But another part couldn't ignore the chill running down his spine. "Help?" Alex scoffed, though his tone lacked conviction. "Or maybe they're lying to protect their own interests. Either way, we can't afford to turn back now. The Empire depends on us securing new territories. If we abandon this mission, others will question our resolve." He turned to the navigation officer. "Continue on course, keep monitoring for any unusual activity, but don't deviate unless absolutely necessary." The fleet pressed onward, entering Earth's orbit without further incident. Initial scans revealed nothing out of the ordinary. The planet's surface teemed with life, its cities glowing faintly under the cover of night. Primitive aircraft zipped through the skies and ships dotted the oceans. There was no sign of advanced weaponry or defensive systems. To the Empire's scientists and strategists, Earth appeared ripe for conquest. Dr. Emily Hayes, the expedition's chief scientist, pored over the data collected by the fleet's sensors. Her station was cluttered with screens displaying charts, graphs, and thermal images. She adjusted her glasses, leaning closer to examine a peculiar reading emanating from the planet's surface. Strange energy signatures pulsed intermittently, concentrated in specific regions. They weren't consistent with natural phenomena like volcanic activity or weather patterns. "Lieutenant Bennett," Emily called out, motioning for her to come over. "Take a look at this. These energy spikes don't match anything we've seen before. Could they be linked to whatever those aliens were talking about?" Laura studied the readings, her lips pursed in thought. "It's possible, but without more context, it's hard to say. Maybe they're remnants of old technology, or something else entirely." Despite the anomalies, the decision was made to proceed with the invasion. Ground forces, led by Major Ryan Dawson, prepared to descend onto Earth's surface. Troops gathered in the hangar bay, checking their equipment and exchanging quiet conversations. Some joked nervously about the alien warning, dismissing it as nonsense. Others remained silent, their eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and apprehension. Ryan addressed his team before boarding the dropships. "Remember your training. Stay alert and follow orders. If there's trouble, report it immediately. And don't forget, we're here to secure resources, not start a war. Let's make this quick and clean." His words did little to ease the growing tension among the soldiers, but they nodded and climbed aboard the waiting vessels. As the dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, the view outside became clearer. Verdant landscapes stretched endlessly below, interrupted only by rivers, mountains, and clusters of buildings. The air smelled fresh, tinged with scents of soil and vegetation. When the ships touched down, the ground forces disembarked cautiously, scanning their surroundings for any signs of resistance. To their surprise, they encountered no immediate hostility. Humans stared at them with wide eyes, some backing away while others approached hesitantly. They wore simple clothing and carried rudimentary tools, clearly unprepared for the arrival of an interstellar army. For hours, the operation proceeded smoothly, with resource extraction sites established across multiple locations. Yet beneath the surface, subtle hints of danger began to emerge. Birds flew in synchronized patterns, turning sharply in unison despite being miles apart. Packs of animals moved with eerie precision, as though guided by an unseen hand. Captain Jason Cole, overseeing operations in one region, noticed these behaviors and reported them to command. "Something's not right," he said over the comms. "Keep an eye out for anything unusual." Back aboard the Elysium, Dr. Hayes continued her analysis of the strange energy signatures. Her curiosity deepened when she discovered buried artifacts during excavation efforts. Metal objects covered in intricate carvings lay hidden beneath layers of earth, emitting faint pulses of energy that matched the earlier readings. As she examined them, a realization dawned on her, one that sent shivers down her spine. These artifacts weren't relics of a forgotten civilization. They were alive, pulsing with intelligence, and they were trying to communicate. The ground forces moved swiftly across Earth's surface, securing key locations and setting up extraction sites. Major Ryan Dawson led his team with precision, ensuring that every operation ran smoothly. The humans they encountered offered little resistance, their confusion evident in their wide eyes and hesitant movements. Some tried to communicate, using gestures and broken phrases, but the language barrier made interaction nearly impossible. For days, the Empire's soldiers worked tirelessly, gathering samples of minerals, water, and plant life. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. Dr. Emily Hayes, however, couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Back aboard the Elysium, she spent hours studying the artifacts unearthed during the excavation efforts. The metallic objects were unlike anything she had ever seen, smooth surfaces etched with intricate carvings that shimmered faintly under the light. When she touched them, a faint hum resonated through her fingertips, as if the objects were alive. Her instruments detected unusual energy patterns emanating from the artifacts, patterns that shifted and changed unpredictably. One evening, as the rest of the crew prepared for downtime, Emily stayed late in her lab. She focused on one particular artifact, larger than the others and covered in swirling designs. As she adjusted her scanner, the carving suddenly lit up, glowing with an otherworldly light. Startled, she stepped back, watching as the glow intensified. Then, without warning, the artifact projected holographic images into the air, They depicted scenes of destruction. Entire fleets obliterated, planets reduced to ash. In the center of each image was a symbol resembling Earth itself. Emily's heart raced as she analyzed the projections. The message was clear. This world was dangerous. The artifacts weren't relics, they were warnings, but who had left them and why? She quickly recorded her findings and sent an urgent message to Commander Alex Carter, requesting a meeting to discuss her discovery. Meanwhile, on the surface, Captain Jason Cole noticed increasingly strange behavior among the native wildlife. Birds flew in perfect formations, turning sharply in unison despite being miles apart. Packs of animals moved with eerie synchronization, as though guided by some unseen force. At first, Cole dismissed it as coincidence, but as the days passed, the patterns became harder to ignore. One night, while patrolling near a dense forest, he heard whispers carried on the wind. The voices spoke in languages he didn't understand, their tones soft, yet insistent. He froze, scanning the shadows for any sign of movement, but saw nothing. Cole reported the incidents to Major Dawson, who listened carefully but remained skeptical. "It's probably just stress," Dawson said, though his tone betrayed a hint of unease. "We've been pushing hard and the environment here is unfamiliar. Keep your team sharp and let me know if anything changes." Despite the reassurance, Cole couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Back aboard the Elysium, Alex Carter reviewed Emily's report with growing concern. The holographic projections she described were troubling, but without more context, it was difficult to determine their significance. He called a meeting with his senior officers, including Lieutenant Laura Bennett and Dr. Hayes, to discuss the situation. "What do you think this means?" Alex asked, gesturing to the images displayed on the screen. Emily hesitated before responding. "I believe these artifacts are part of a larger system, a network designed to protect Earth. The energy signatures we've detected match the patterns emitted by the artifacts. Whatever created them intended to send a message, one we're only beginning to understand." Laura leaned forward, her expression thoughtful. "If that's true, then the alien warning wasn't just a bluff. They were trying to tell us something important." Alex frowned, weighing their words. "Even if that's the case, we can't abandon the mission now. The Empire is counting on us to secure these resources. We'll proceed cautiously, but we won't turn back." His decision settled the matter, though the tension in the room lingered. As the days passed, the anomalies grew more pronounced. Equipment malfunctioned sporadically, and several soldiers reported hearing whispers in their minds, voices speaking in languages they didn't understand. Some claimed to see fleeting shadows moving just beyond their line of sight. Fear began to spread among the troops, eroding morale. Captain Cole tried to maintain order, but even he found himself questioning the wisdom of staying on Earth. Then came the event that changed everything. During a routine mining operation, a massive drill penetrated deep into the Earth's crust, striking something metallic far below. The ground trembled violently, sending shock waves rippling outward. Moments later, the Earth split open, revealing towering machines unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. They were biomechanical constructs, part organic and part machine, radiating power and intelligence. The machines emerged silently, their forms shifting and adapting as they moved. Soldiers scrambled to respond, firing their weapons in panic. But the machines absorbed the attacks effortlessly, their surfaces repairing themselves almost instantly. Within minutes, entire platoons were wiped out, swallowed by the machines' overwhelming firepower. Captain Cole barely escaped with his life, retreating to the safety of the orbiting fleet. As chaos erupted below, the alien vessel reappeared, broadcasting its message once more. "You were warned." The words echoed through the communication channels, chilling everyone who heard them. On the bridge of the Elysium, Alex Carter watched in horror as reports flooded in from the surface. The machines were unstoppable, tearing through the Empire's forces with terrifying efficiency. Desperation gripped the crew as they realized the gravity of their mistake. Lieutenant Bennett turned to Alex, her voice trembling. "Sir, we need to pull back. If we stay, we'll lose everything." Alex clenched his fists, anger and regret washing over him. He had ignored the warnings, dismissing them as fear tactics. Now the consequences were unfolding before his eyes. "Sound the retreat," he ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. "Get everyone off the surface and prepare for emergency departure." As the surviving troops scrambled aboard dropships, the machines paused, observing their movements. They didn't pursue, but their presence loomed large, a reminder of the power they wielded. The fleet regrouped in orbit, battered and shaken. From the windows of the Elysium, Earth looked serene and untouched, its beauty masking the danger lurking beneath. Dr. Hayes approached Alex, her expression grim. "Commander, I believe those machines are guardians. They're protecting Earth from threats like us. We activated them when we disturbed the artifacts. This planet isn't just a resource, it's a sanctuary." Alex stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. The Empire had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. In the silence that followed, the alien vessel hovered nearby, its shimmering surface reflecting the light of distant stars. Once again, the layered voice spoke, calm but firm. "Leave now and do not return. The balance must be maintained." The message was clear, and this time, there was no room for doubt. Alex gave the order to withdraw, his pride shattered. As the fleet limped away from Earth, leaving behind a scarred but still vibrant planet, he reflected on the alien warning. It hadn't been a threat. It had been a gift. And they had ignored it. The retreat from Earth's surface was chaotic and desperate. Dropships raced back to the fleet, their hulls scorched and battered from the relentless attacks of the biomechanical machines. Soldiers clung to their seats, their faces pale with fear and exhaustion. The Empire's once mighty ground forces had been reduced to scattered survivors fleeing for their lives. Captain Jason Cole sat in silence, his hands gripping the armrests as the ship shuddered under the strain of rapid ascent. He replayed the events in his mind, the towering machines emerging from the Earth, their seamless movements, their devastating power. It wasn't just technology. It was something beyond comprehension. Back aboard the Elysium, Commander Alex Carter paced the bridge, his frustration boiling over into anger. "How could this happen?" he demanded, his voice sharp enough to cut through the tension in the room. Officers avoided his gaze, unsure of how to respond. Lieutenant Laura Bennett finally spoke up, her tone measured but firm. "Sir, we underestimated Earth. We ignored the warnings, and now we're paying the price." Her words hung in the air, a stark reminder of their failure. Dr. Emily Hayes stood nearby, clutching a tablet filled with data from the artifacts. She had pieced together fragments of the holographic projections, uncovering more details about the machine's origins. They weren't just guardians. They were ancient constructs designed to protect Earth during cosmic threats. Emily hesitated before addressing the group. "Commander, these machines are part of a system older than any civilization we've encountered. They don't act out of malice, they're programmed to preserve balance. When we disturbed the artifacts, we triggered them." Alex turned to her, his expression unreadable. "And what do you suggest we do now? Apologize? Surrender?" His tone dripped with sarcasm, but beneath it lay a flicker of desperation. Emily met his gaze, unflinching. "We need to show them we mean no further harm. If we fight back, they'll destroy us completely. But if we retreat and leave Earth alone, they might let us go." Before Alex could respond, alarms blared across the ship. The machines had launched an attack on the fleet, their massive forms rising into orbit. From the view screen, the crew watched in stunned silence as the biomechanical constructs approached, their surfaces shifting and glowing with energy. Weapons fire erupted from the fleet, but the machines absorbed the blasts effortlessly, their adaptive defenses rendering the Empire's weapons useless. Lieutenant Bennett shouted orders, directing the crew to prepare for evasive maneuvers. "All hands brace for impact," she called out, her voice steady despite the chaos. The Elysium shuddered violently as the machines closed in, their sheer size dwarfing the Imperial ships. Explosions rocked the fleet as smaller vessels were torn apart, their wreckage drifting silently into the void. Amid the destruction, Alex made a decision. "Activate the self-destruct sequence," he ordered, his voice cold and resolute. The crew froze, shock rippling through the bridge. Laura stepped forward, her eyes wide. "Sir, that's suicide. We'll lose everyone on board." Alex didn't flinch. "If we overload the reactors, the resulting explosion will create a shockwave powerful enough to disable the machines. It's our only chance." Emily intervened, her voice urgent. "Wait. There's another way. Let me try to communicate with them." Alex turned to her, his brow furrowed. "Communicate? How?" Emily held up her tablet, showing fragments of the holographic messages she had decoded. "These machines are sentient. They can reason. If I can establish contact, maybe we can negotiate a ceasefire." Reluctantly, Alex agreed to give her a chance. Emily worked quickly, using the data from the artifacts to send a signal to the machines. At first, there was no response. The constructs continued their assault, tearing through the fleet with terrifying precision. Then, unexpectedly, the machines halted their advance. Their glowing surfaces dimmed slightly, and a low hum resonated through space. On the bridge, everyone held their breath. Emily adjusted the frequency of her transmission, refining the message. After several tense minutes, a response came, a series of pulses that matched the energy patterns of the artifacts. Emily's hands trembled as she interpreted the signals. "They're listening," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "They want to know why we're here." Alex stepped closer, leaning over her shoulder. "Tell them we came seeking resources. We didn't know Earth was protected." Emily nodded, relaying the message. The machines responded again, their tones shifting, subtly. Emily translated carefully, her brow furrowed in concentration. "They understand, but they also say Earth is a sanctuary, a refuge for life during times of cosmic danger. Any threat to its balance must be eliminated." Laura spoke up, her voice cautious. "What happens now? Are they going to destroy us?" Emily shook her head. "Not necessarily. They're giving us a choice. Leave now and never return, or face annihilation." The weight of the decision settled heavily on Alex's shoulders. For a moment he considered ignoring the ultimatum and continuing the fight. But the sight of the devastated fleet, the loss of so many lives, forced him to reconsider. "Stand down," Alex ordered, his voice firm. "Prepare the fleet for withdrawal." Relief washed over the crew, though it was tempered by the knowledge of their defeat. As the surviving ships regrouped, the machines remained motionless, watching, silently. Emily kept the communication channel open, ensuring the message was clear. The Empire would leave Earth untouched. As the fleet began its retreat, Alex stood on the bridge, staring at the viewscreen. Earth loomed in the distance, its beauty undiminished by the conflict. He thought about the alien warning, the words echoing in his mind. You were warned. They had been given a chance to avoid disaster, and they had ignored it. Now they were, leaving with nothing but regret. Lieutenant Bennett approached him, her expression thoughtful. "Sir, we'll need to report this to command. What will you tell them?" Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. "The truth. That we underestimated Earth and paid the price. Maybe next time they'll listen when someone warns us." Laura nodded, though skepticism lingered in her eyes. The Empire wasn't known for learning from its mistakes. Dr. Hayes joined them, her tablet still in hand. "Commander, I believe those machines were trying to help us. Their purpose isn't to destroy, it's to protect. If we respect that, we might avoid future conflicts." Alex glanced at her, a hint of gratitude in his gaze. "Let's hope so, for now we focus on getting home." The fleet limped away from Earth, its ships battered but intact. Behind them, the machines returned to their positions, their forms fading into the planet's atmosphere. As the Elysium entered the void of space, Alex reflected on the mission. They had sought to conquer, but instead, they had been humbled. Earth wasn't just a resource, it was a guardian, a beacon of life in a vast and unpredictable universe. The silence of the ship, the alien vessel, reappeared one final time, Its shimmering surface reflected the light of distant stars, and its layered voice echoed through the communication channels. Remember this day. The balance must be maintained. Then, without another word, it vanished, leaving the crew to ponder the lessons they had learned. For Alex Carter and the remnants of the Galactic Empire, the experience was a bitter reminder of their own limitations. They had ventured into the unknown with arrogance and ambition, only to be met with forces far greater than themselves. As they drifted further from Earth, the planet's image grew smaller on the view screen, but its message remained etched in their minds. Some worlds are not meant to be conquered. The fleet drifted further into the void, its ships battered and broken. The scars of battle were visible on every hull, a testament to the power of Earth's biomechanical guardians. On the bridge of the Elysium, Commander Alex Carter stared out at the endless expanse of space. His mind replayed the events of the past days, the alien warning, the artifacts, the machines rising from the depths of the planet. Each memory was a reminder of their failure, a lesson they had learned too. Late Lieutenant Laura Bennett stood nearby, her expression thoughtful as she reviewed the damage reports. "Sir, we've lost nearly half the fleet," she said, her voice heavy with regret. "The survivors are shaken, but they're holding together. For now." Alex nodded, his jaw tight. He knew the losses would weigh heavily on everyone, but there was little he could do to ease their pain. The Empire had always prided itself on its strength and dominance, yet here they were, humbled by forces far beyond their understanding. Dr. Emily Hayes approached them, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. She had spent hours analyzing the final transmissions from the machines, searching for any clues about their nature and purpose. "Commander," she began, her tone cautious, "I've pieced together more of their message. It wasn't just a warning. It was an explanation. Earth isn't just a planet. It's a sanctuary created eons ago to protect life during cosmic disasters. Those machines are its guardians, designed to ensure nothing disrupts that balance." Alex turned to her, his brow furrowed. "And what happens if someone or something does disrupt it?" Emily hesitated before answering. "They eliminate the threat. Completely. No second chances." Her words hung in the air, a stark reminder of how close they had come to annihilation. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of their near-death experience settling over them like a shadow. As the fleet continued its retreat, repairs were underway. Engineers worked tirelessly to patch up damaged systems while medical teams tended to the wounded. Morale was low, but the survivors clung to the hope of returning home. Captain Jason Cole moved among his troops, offering words of encouragement where he could. "We made it through," he told them, his voice steady despite the weariness in his eyes. "That's what matters now. We'll rebuild, and we'll learn from this." Back on the bridge, Alex addressed his senior officers. "We need to prepare a report. For command," he said, his tone firm. "They'll want answers, and they'll demand accountability." Laura nodded, though uncertainty lingered in her gaze. "What will you tell them, sir? The truth may not sit well with them." Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. "I'll tell them exactly what happened. That we underestimated Earth and ignored warnings that could have saved us. Maybe this time, they'll listen." Emily spoke up, her voice soft but resolute. "Commander, I think it's important to stress the significance of Earth. It's not just another resource-rich planet. It's a refuge, a safeguard for life itself. If we respect that, we might avoid future conflicts." Alex glanced at her, a flicker of gratitude in his eyes. "You're right, and I'll make sure they understand that, but whether they'll act on it is another matter." Days passed as the fleet limped through space, leaving Earth farther behind. The crew struggled to process what had happened, their thoughts consumed by questions they couldn't answer. Why had the aliens warned them? Who had created the machines? And why had Earth been chosen as a sanctuary? These mysteries gnawed at them, fueling both curiosity and fear. One evening, as the ship drifted silently through the darkness, Alex found himself alone on the observation deck. The vastness of space stretched before him, dotted with distant stars and swirling nebulae. He thought about the Empire's ambitions, its relentless drive to expand and conquer. For so long, they had seen themselves as untouchable, invincible. But Earth had proven otherwise. It wasn't just a challenge, it was a mirror, reflecting their own arrogance back at them. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Commander?" He turned to see Lieutenant Bennett standing in the doorway, her expression hesitant. "May I join you?" Alex gestured for her to come closer. "Of course," he said, stepping aside. Laura walked to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. "Do you think they'll believe us when we tell them what happened?" she asked after a moment. Alex shrugged, his shoulders sagging under the weight of responsibility. "I don't know. Some might dismiss it as an excuse for failure. Others might see it as a wake-up call. Either way, we've done our part. What happens next is out of our hands." Laura nodded slowly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "I just hope they learn from this. If they don't, we'll end up making the same mistakes again." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert. The comms officer's voice crackled over the intercom. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the alien vessel." Alex straightened, exchanging a glance with Laura. "Patch it through," he ordered, his heart pounding. Moments later, the layered voice echoed through the ship once more. "You have chosen wisely. Leave this galaxy in peace and your lives will be spared. Return, and you will face consequences beyond your understanding." The message ended abruptly, leaving the crew in stunned silence. Alex clenched his fists, anger and frustration warring within him. They had been given a second chance, but at what cost? The Empire's reputation, its pride, had been shattered. Yet, beneath the surface, a small part of him felt grateful. Grateful that they had survived, that they had been shown mercy. As the days turned into weeks, the fleet finally reached the edge of Imperial space. The journey home was long and arduous, but the crew held on to the hope of rebuilding. When they arrived, they were greeted by a delegation of high-ranking officials, their expressions stern and unyielding. Alex stepped forward, his stance resolute, as he prepared to deliver his report. He recounted everything: the alien warning, the artifacts, the machines, and the devastation wrought by their defiance. The officials listened in silence, their faces unreadable. When he finished, one of them spoke, his voice cold and measured. "You failed. Not only did you lose valuable resources, but you also endangered the lives of countless soldiers. What do you expect us to do with this information?" Alex met his gaze, unwavering. "I expect you to learn from it. Earth isn't just another conquest. It's a sanctuary protected by forces we can't comprehend. If we continue down this path, ignoring warnings and pushing boundaries, we'll destroy ourselves. This isn't about failure, it's about survival." The official studied him for a moment, then nodded curtly. "We'll consider your report. Dismissed." As Alex left the chamber, he felt a mix of relief and unease. The Empire's leaders were unpredictable, and their decisions often prioritized ambition over caution. Still, he had done his duty. Whether they chose to heed his warning was no longer his responsibility. In the weeks that followed, rumors spread throughout the Empire about the events on Earth. Some dismissed the stories as exaggerations, while others saw them as proof of humanity's limits. Among the crew of the Elysium, however, the lessons remained clear. Earth had taught them humility, respect, and the importance of listening to those who knew better. Dr. Emily Hayes returned to her research, determined to uncover more about the artifacts and the machines. She believed that understanding their origins could prevent future conflicts. Lieutenant Laura Bennett focused on rebuilding morale, ensuring that the survivors were cared for and supported. And Commander Alex Carter reflected on the choices they had made, vowing to approach future missions with caution and wisdom. As the Empire moved forward, the memory of Earth lingered like a ghost. It served as both a warning and a reminder that, Even the most powerful forces in the universe were not invincible. For those who had witnessed the wrath of the biomechanical guardians, the message was clear. Some worlds were not meant to be conquered. And sometimes, the greatest strength lay, not in domination but in knowing when to walk away. The Empire's response to the events on Earth was slow and deliberate, a reflection of the uncertainty that gripped its leaders. The report from Commander Alex Carter had sparked heated debates among the High Council, with factions divided over how to proceed. Some argued for retaliation, insisting that the Empire's pride demanded action against the forces that had humiliated them. Others urged caution, pointing to the overwhelming power of Earth's biomechanical guardians and the clear message they had delivered: leave or face destruction. In the weeks following their return, Alex found himself summoned repeatedly to meetings with the Council. Each session was tense, filled with pointed questions and sharp criticism. "You ignored the alien warning," one official accused, his voice laced with disdain. "You led your fleet into a disaster that could have been avoided." Alex stood firm, his tone measured but unyielding. "I made the decision to proceed based on the information we had at the time. We underestimated Earth, but we've learned from our mistakes. The bigger question now is whether you're willing to do the same." Despite the pressure, Alex refused to back down. He knew the stakes were too high to let pride dictate the Empire's next move. With Dr. Emily Hayes by his side, he presented additional evidence, data from the artifacts, recordings of the machine's transmissions, and detailed accounts of their capabilities. "This isn't just about us," Emily emphasized during one meeting. "Earth is a sanctuary, created to protect life during cosmic threats. If we respect that, we can avoid future conflicts. If we don't, we risk losing far more than ships and soldiers." The Council members exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions revealing a mix of skepticism and concern. One of them, an older woman named Counselor Patricia Lane, spoke up after a long pause. "Let's say we accept your explanation. What do you propose we do? Simply abandon Earth and pretend this never happened?" Alex nodded, sensing an opening. "That's exactly what I'm suggesting. We pull back, focus on rebuilding, and use this as an opportunity to rethink our approach to exploration. Not every world is ours to claim." Patricia leaned back in her chair, her fingers tapping rhythmically on the table. "And what happens if others don't agree? There are those within the Empire who see retreat as weakness. How do we stop them from pursuing Earth on their own?" Emily stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We share the truth, not just with the Council but with everyone. Show them the evidence. Let them understand the risks. Fear of annihilation tends to be a powerful motivator." After days of deliberation, the Council finally reached a decision. They issued a formal directive, declaring Earth off-limits to all Imperial forces. Any attempt to defy the order would result in severe consequences, including court-martial and exile. It was a bold move, one that signaled a shift in the Empire's priorities. For the first time in its history, the Empire acknowledged the existence of boundaries it could not and would not cross. News of the decision spread quickly, sparking mixed reactions across the Empire. Some citizens praised the Council for its wisdom, seeing it as a necessary step toward peace and stability. Others criticized the ruling, accusing the leadership of cowardice and betrayal. Among the military ranks, tensions ran high. Soldiers, who had survived the battle on Earth, struggled to reconcile their experiences with the Empire's new stance. For many, the scars of defeat were still fresh, and the idea of leaving Earth untouched felt like an admission of failure. Captain Jason. Cole found himself caught in the middle of these conflicting emotions. His team had returned home battered but alive, thanks in part to his quick thinking and leadership. Yet despite their survival, morale remained low. During training exercises, he noticed a lack of focus and enthusiasm among his troops. Conversations often turned to Earth, with some expressing anger and frustration, while others voiced fear and doubt. One evening, after dismissing his squad, Jason lingered in the barracks, lost in thought. A young soldier named Daniel approached him hesitantly, his expression uncertain. "Sir, can I ask you something?" Jason looked up, nodding. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Daniel hesitated before speaking. "Do you think we'll ever go back to Earth? I mean, not to fight, but just to understand it better?" Jason considered the question carefully, choosing his words with care. "I don't know, Daniel. Right now, the Council has made it clear that Earth is off limits. But maybe, someday when we've earned the trust of whoever or whatever is protecting it, we'll get another chance. Until then, our job is to learn from what happened and make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes." Daniel nodded slowly, seemingly reassured by the answer. As he walked away, Jason sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. The burden of leadership weighed heavily on him, especially now. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he also understood the importance of moving forward. Meanwhile, Dr. Emily Hayes continued her research, driven by a desire to uncover the secrets of Earth's guardians. Using the data collected during the mission, she worked tirelessly to decode more of the holographic projections and energy signatures. Her efforts yielded surprising results. Fragments of ancient texts describing the creation of the biomechanical constructs and their purpose as protectors of life. She shared her findings with Alex and Laura, hoping to build support for further study. "This changes everything," Emily said during one briefing, her excitement evident. "These machines weren't built by humans or any known civilization. They're the work of beings far older and more advanced than us. Understanding them could help us avoid similar conflicts in the future." Laura nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It's fascinating, but how do we convince the Council to fund more research? After what happened, they're likely to view anything related to Earth as a risk." Alex stepped forward, his tone resolute. "We frame it as an investment in survival. Learning about Earth's guardians isn't just about curiosity, it's about ensuring the Empire's safety. If we can predict their behavior and communicate with them effectively, we might prevent another disaster." Emily smiled faintly, grateful for his support. "Exactly. Knowledge is our best defense." With Alex's backing, Emily presented her case to the Council, emphasizing the potential benefits of continued research. To her relief, they agreed to allocate resources, albeit cautiously. A small team was assembled, tasked with analyzing the artifacts and developing methods to safely interact with Earth's guardians. Though progress was slow, the project marked a turning point, a recognition that understanding was as important as conquest. As months passed, the Empire began to adapt to its new reality. Exploration missions resumed, but with stricter guidelines and greater emphasis on diplomacy. Ships carried scientists alongside soldiers, their roles shifting from conquerors to observers. The lessons of Earth shaped every decision, reminding the Empire of its limits and responsibilities. For Alex Carter, the experience left a lasting impact. He no longer saw himself as merely a commander, but as a steward of balance. His conversations with Lieutenant Laura Bennett grew deeper, focusing on ways to foster cooperation rather than conflict. Together, they envisioned a future where the Empire thrived not through domination, but through mutual respect and understanding. Dr. Emily Hayes remained hopeful, her work fueling her belief in humanity's capacity for growth. "We've taken the first step," she told Alex one day, her eyes shining with determination. "Someday we'll look back on this and realize it wasn't just a failure, it was a beginning." Alex smiled faintly, sharing her optimism. "A beginning," he echoed, "and hopefully, a better one." As the Empire moved forward, the memory of Earth lingered, a reminder of both its dangers and its mysteries. It served as a beacon, guiding them toward a path of humility and discovery. And though the journey was far from over, they took solace in knowing that they had chosen to walk away, not out of fear, but out of respect for the balance that sustained them all.